How are you all doing today? My name is Chris. Welcome to Bourbinsane. We're back today and we're going to be talking about a topic that I get asked a lot of questions about. What's a good go-to bourbon for someone that's not into whiskey? So I don't know about you all, but I have friends out there who don't know anything about whiskey, bourbon, scotch, anything. And they come over, they see the bar, and they want to try things, And I get to ask the question, like, what is a good starter bourbon for those types of people? I have my own personal recommendations and personal go-tos for what I tend to give my non-whiskey friends, and I want to see how it compares to what you guys give. So I put together my own top 5 list. Again, these are just my opinions. I'll talk about the things that have worked well, things that haven't, but let me know down in the comments below, what are some whiskeys you always give to your non-whiskey friends? Someone comes over, even to be your wife. I'm still trying to convert my wife over to the whiskey world, so I've been trying nearly every whiskey in here to get to get her over, and no luck yet. So let me know down in the comments below, what is your go-to? Without further ado, let's get into my personal top 5. Okay, coming in at number 5 on our list, I hate to include this whiskey, and I'll talk about why. Angel's Envy. Now, nothing wrong with Angel's Envy as a company. It's just really the price of the bottle for what you're getting in there. And that's coming from someone who has tried multiple whiskeys now at this point, Angel's Envy is around the 6-year age. What they do special with this whiskey that I think fits well to give a non-whiskey person is they actually finish it in port wine barrels. So most bottles of Angel's Envy, you're gonna get a lot more sweetness coming through from that port wine. Much fruitier than just your normal bourbon that may be a little bit off-putting with the wood notes for someone that's new to whiskey. Also, it's fairly low proof, 43.3%. Now, just to be legal bourbon, it has to be 40%. So this is just barely amplified from that. But it's solid. It's a solid pour. Nothing off-putting about it. Like I said, that port does add an extra layer of sweetness on top of your normal bourbon sweetness. So that's something that will tailor a lot to new whiskey drinkers. Issue with this bottle is price. Locally for me, it's about $50 to $55. So at that price point, so many good whiskeys. That's why it couldn't fall higher on the list. Moving on to number 4 on our list. This is a product coming out of Buffalo Trace Distillery. Weller Special Reserve. Now again, I'm talking about my bar, things I have and I give my friends. This I know is difficult to find in a lot of parts of the country. But this is out of Buffalo Trace's wheated mash bill. So this is about 12 to 16% wheat they use as the second most dominant grain instead of corn. 45% ABV, so again, not super hot. It's staying right around that 90 proof, which is a great introductory level for non-whiskey palates. I think so. Being a wheated mash bill, it has a lot more sweetness, again, kind of like the Angel's Envy did. A different type of sweetness, but the normal bourbon sweetness along with the wheated portion instead of the rye portion. Rye tends to give off a lot more peppery notes, sometimes more bitter citrusy notes as well, but this is just all creaminess. The wheat adds a nice level of creaminess, nice flavor profile overall, and this is a much better value on the bottle as well. If you can find this, it only runs about $25, assuming the store isn't marking it up. So that's why I always have people try this first. One of my definite go-tos for people who are not whiskey drinkers. Coming in at number 3 on my list, I couldn't not include a Brown-Forman product. And one of my favorite distilleries from Brown-Forman, Old Forester Single Barrel. Now, I grabbed 2 bottles for this, cheating a little bit. I also included the 100. Now, both of these bottles are excellent. Brown-Forman as a distillery always gives me a very, very nice fruity note. And when I say fruity, I mean like banana, very desserty. Most Brown-Forman products, whether it be Woodford, Old Forester, even some of the Jack Daniels, it's very fruity, banana-y. Almost like a banana split dessert, bananas Foster dessert is what I describe a lot of times in these types of products. Old Forester Single Barrel, these are individually picked barrels. Now this is a 90 proof bottle. The new Old Forester Single Barrel bottles are going to be 100 proof, and then there's going to be a barrel proof coming out as well, which is great. The 90 proof is kind of a sweet spot for me from what I've found. I haven't had the 100 or the barrel proof because it's so brand new. But 90 proof, again, staying true to that proof that seems to be tolerable for most non-whiskey drinkers. The Black Label Signature 100 is a 100 proof bourbon. So if you think you have someone who's maybe had a little bit more experience with whiskey and bourbon, they want something a little more bold, a little more rich, packs a little more punch, this is definitely a good option as well. You know, you can't go wrong with either one. Very desserty, very creamy, very easy to drink for both of these. If you buy these and you have them try it, they're gonna like it. Coming in at number 2, we're going back to another Buffalo Trace product. Now this is another one I've always been a fan of for a long time, Eagle Rare. Now this is Eagle Rare 10 year. They no longer have the single barrel distinction on the back of the bottle like it used to. It does still have the 10-year age statement, not the single barrel. 90 proof, 10 years, and super, super easy to drink. If you have a buddy who maybe, again, has a little bit more experience into whiskey, and he's able to, or she's able to maybe start picking out some notes, this gives you another layer of oak. Being almost, being 10 years old, it gives you some oak notes that come through versus just that Buffalo Trace cherry fruity sweetness. A little bit of spice comes through in this, but not a huge amount, so it's not an overly spicy whiskey, so nothing to worry about being off-putting there. But a definite solid offering. This and Buffalo Trace are two, beginner bourbons I always recommend for beginners into whiskey. The Buffalo Trace profile is just friendly. It just is. They have this extra sweetness. I always describe it as a cherry cola, cherry sweetness. But it's almost like they add Splenda to their whiskey. Some sugar, extra sugar to their whiskey to get those flavors they want. So, a definite recommendation for non-whiskey drinkers. $30 to $32. It's not available everywhere. That's why it couldn't come in number 1 on the list. Quick honorable mention before we move on to our number 1 selection. A bottle I love and I recommend, even though maybe I shouldn't all the time, Wild Turkey 101. 101 proof, one of my favorite distilleries, Wild Turkey. Cinnamon, oak, this is a blend of 6, 7, 8-year-old whiskeys. Good stuff. This has more kick, packs more punch. It's got some nuttiness. Again, if you have someone who wants to drink on the rocks, this still gives you your bourbon flavors coming through even with the ice, which makes all the difference. I have a buddy who I recommended this to. He preferred it over a whole bunch of other whiskeys that were introductory whiskeys I thought he would like. Weller Special Reserve, I had him try that here. So it's just a bold, rich flavor. They advertise it as high rye, but it's really not. It's like 13% rye, 12% rye. So not a huge amount, but it does pack more flavor thanks to that 101 proof. Always a recommendation for me at around the $23 price point. Will not be disappointed if you get this bottle. Moving on to my number 1 recommendation for non-whiskey drinkers. Tough decision. So many whiskeys out there. This is just my personal opinion. Woodford Double O. So this is a bottle I just talked about my buddy. He personally did not like this as much as the Wild Turkey 101. I think for most people, this bottle is super friendly and super easy to drink. This is double oaked. Now, just like the name implies, after they age their whiskey for the allotted amount of time, they don't disclose, but probably around 6 years, they take that bourbon and they re-age it in a new charred oak barrel. And they age it for 6 months to a year, depending on the time frame they think is right. Proof is right around the same as some of the previous expressions we talked about, so 45.2%. They do single barrels on these. Now, not so much single barrels, they actually blend a small amount of barrels together, like 3 or 4. And they batch those, but they do store picks. This, though, having that second barrel, re-aging for another 6 to 12 months, it makes all the difference in the world on this. It's not just a marketing scheme. Like, what this product is just vanilla custard, vanilla ice cream on the palate. The oak definitely comes out more, but it's like the sweetest, most luscious, creamy oak you can imagine. If it was amplified in proof, which I wish it was for a more experienced whiskey drinker, it would be phenomenal. Like trying this at barrel proof after they pull it out of that second barrel, oh man. But even the way it is now, proof down to around 90, the flavors that come through, there's no burn. It's just easy, smooth sipping, and for someone that's new to whiskey that is worried about that spiciness, that palate burn, this is the best flavor profile for them, in my opinion. So many good whiskeys out there, it's hard to pick just one, but in my experience, this has been the one that hits the nail on the head most times. Alright, well there you go. How could I pick just 5, honestly? Honestly, there's no way. In my experience, even with my wife, she has turned to these over some other ones we've tried in the past. And if my wife can tolerate it, I know a lot of people out there can tolerate it. So, so that's kind of my test for everyone else. But I hope you all enjoyed this episode. I really want to hear your feedback. You know, what are your whiskeys that you try with your non-whiskey friends? What's your go-to? I've tried numerous things. Some people just want to jump right into higher proof. That's why we included the Wild Turkey 101. You know, it just depends on the person you're dealing with and what they like already. You know, it really does. So, but I want to hear what's worked for you. Let me know your own top 5 list. Let me know the one whiskey that seems to work for everyone. I really want to hear it. I have to give a quick thank you to all my brand new patrons to the channel. We've had awesome support lately. Thank you all so much. The love you guys have all been showing me on the Battle of the Bourbon series has been incredible as well. I really appreciate it. For those of you that didn't hear, I am going to be doing a new Battle of the Bourbon series where we're going to be doing barrel proof. So barrel proof whiskeys side by side next to each other, bracket style, just like that. So probably take a little time in between, but that's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait already because barrel proof is a wide world. One last thing is I want to say, please check out my brand new website, bourbonsane.com. I've got a whole shop of my merchandise and items I'm selling. But on top of that, I'm doing whiskey reviews and news. So every Monday, I'm going to be putting out a new post, blog, whiskey review, whatever it may be, to the website. And I want it to become a centralized area for whiskey news, reviews, things like that. I'm going to do it on top of the channel. So the channel's not going anywhere here. I'm going to do video and written reviews. So if you're interested in checking it out, please do check out bourbonsane.com. It means a lot when you sign up to get notifications so you know when I drop a new review. I appreciate y'all hanging out today. Thank you so much for being here. We've got another whiskey review coming out on Saturday, so make sure you're there. Stay insane, everyone.